Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Faida. I am a fashion designer based in Lagos, Nigeria. Today I'll be showing you how to draft a basic skirt pattern and convert to a pencil skirt pattern. It's very simple and straightforward. But before we jump into the tutorial, I'd love you guys to subscribe to this channel, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share with any fashion lover out there, and also click the notification bell below so that when I post new videos you'll be notified. Let's jump right into this video. Begin drafting our pattern. We're going to need some measurements. We need our waist measurement, our hip, our waist to hip, our bust apex, and skirt length. Once you've done that, you would also need some tools. We'll need our tape measure, my hip curve ruler, my straight ruler, my scissors, pencil, marker, and my eraser. The next thing I'll do is mark my skirt length. My skirt length is 22 inches, so I'm marking that below, and I'll also come to the side of the pattern and mark my 22 inch. I do this to make sure that the line is straight. I'm just coming in with my straight ruler to create a line. Once I've done that, I'm going to create a box using my hip, and I'm going to mark half of my hip measurement. My hip is 40 and half of 40 is 20, so I'm marking my 20 at the top and at the bottom. And once I've done that, I'll just connect using my ruler. Once I've created that box, I'm also going to divide it into two, and half of 20 is 10, so I'm going to mark 10 at the bottom and 10 at the top, and I'll just connect. One part of the box is going to be the front and the other side is going to be the back. So I'm marking my 10 at the top and I'll just connect with my ruler. The next thing I'm going to do is mark my hip depth. Please make sure you take your accurate measurements. So I'm marking my hip depth, which is 9 inch. I'll also mark it in the center and on the side, just to ensure that my line is straight. Once I've done that, I'm going to mark my waist measurements. My waist is 29 and quarter of 29 will give me 7 1/4. So I'm just going to mark my 7 1/4 and I'll add 1 inch extra. This 1 inch is for my dart, and I'll repeat for the back pattern. 7 1/4 and then 1 inch extra. So I'm just going to quickly label this pattern as front and back so I don't get confused. Once I've done that, I'm going to go in with my hip curve ruler and connect my hip curve from the waist point to my hip line. And I'll repeat the same step for the back, or the front rather. The next thing I'm going to do is measure my bust apex. My bust apex is 8 and half of 8 is 4. So I'm marking the 4 and coming down by 4.5 for the length of my darts. Once I've done that, I'm going to mark half on both sides of the dart leg, and I'll also mark half on the center front. That ½ inch is going to be for the curve I'm going to create because of our stomach region or our waist. So I'm just creating my dart, and then I'll go in with my curve, my hip curve ruler, and I'll create that slight curve. I'm going to repeat the same step for the back, but this time I'm going to measure 0.25 on both sides of my dart leg. So I'm marking my 4 inch for my bust apex, and I'll come down by 4.5. So I'm just quickly drawing my dart leg, and then I'm going to mark 0.25, which is 1/4 of an inch, on both sides of the dart, and then I'll come in by 1/2 inch, which is 0.5, on the side back. That is going to create a curve for my zip. So I'm going to connect that 0.5 inch to my hip line so that when I sew my zip, it will sit properly on my buttocks region. At this point, we could leave this pattern like this and just create your slit. And to do that, you would come up by 5 inch and then come out by 1 inch on the top and on the bottom. But I don't want to do that because this pattern is all about simple pencil skirts. So I'm going to go in on the sides by 1.5 inch on the front and 1.5 inch on the back. And once I've done that, I'm just going to connect to create my new skirt legs. So I noticed that my hip region had a little bit of sharp points. So to correct that, I went in with my hip curve ruler to just correct that a little bit. I made the place less curvy because I don't want a situation where I sew my skirt and it just becomes pointy at the side. So just make sure that you correct yours. So once I'm done, I'm going to come in by 1 inch and I'm going to connect to the hip depth line. This will give my skirt at the back a bit of shape. So I'm just coming up by 5 inch to create my slit, and I'll come out by 1 inch. And I'll also mark that 1 inch at the bottom. Then I'll connect using my ruler. Once I'm satisfied with this pattern, I'm just going to go in and cut the pattern with my scissors. But before then, I'm just going to create that triangle on the top of the dart so that there won't be problems when sewing the dart for the front. You don't really need to do that for the back pattern. So I'm just going to quickly cut that out. I sped the video up so that I don't waste your time. So I'm cutting the pattern so that you can see the finished look. Please guys, if you've loved this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and also share. Now I'm labeling the pattern as front and back, and I'm writing cut 2 times. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.